everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus coming at you with some 4-color Death Shadow in Modern. As a friendly reminder, if you like especially lightning bolt based content in the Modern format, please consider subscribing to the channel, as we aim to be the most informative channel in Modern on YouTube. So why am I taking a look at 4-color Death Shadow when I've been playing Burn and Blitz and Gruul? First off, we have a lot of Death Shadow content on this channel, particularly GDS, as that is a lightning bolt based deck. 4-color Death Shadow is, I believe, the original incarnation of Death Shadow that emerged once Gataxian Probe was kind of banned. Kind of fell out of favor for GDS because GDS is a little bit more consistent because of the cantrips and such, but it's still a very powerful deck. Once again, why are we looking at it though? So this past weekend there was the first Super IQ that has occurred in a while, which is basically a Super PTQ. Top 2 players get a invite to the split championships for Zendikar Rising on Arena. And these are the decks that finished. There's an Eldrazi-tron, Tunneling Cat. If you pay attention to grinders, Tunneling Cat's always playing Eldrazi-tron. Deck that survived the banning is not really any surprise. Azorius Control, obviously people playing a little bit more varied cards with the banning of Astrolabe. Band Control is basically a retooling of the Bant deck that was, but this one, once again, the nomenclatures of MTG Goldfish calling a Stoneforge Mystic deck Bant Control. It's Bant Stoneblade. Okay. 4-color Death Shadow deck we're looking at is a Blitz. Deck we've played some. Been very impressed with Sprite Dragon and Stormwing Entity. We'll probably take a look at this version at some point down the line. Amulet Titan. Powerful deck. This one's another one that's interesting, but I decided to go with the Death Shadow version first. This is kind of the old Monastery Swiftspear Soulscar Mage. It's kind of a Gruul take on Prowess with a little bit of, Hooting Mandrills here as kind of another powerful thing. This is another deck we're going to take a look at out of this event. I don't know how good it'll do. And then obviously we have Blue, Red, Green, which is a Wilderness Reclamation deck based off of some of the old Snow Spiritual decks. No Icefang Quaddle on this list, but this is a deck based off of, I believe, Canister. Yep, Canister played a similar deck the previous day during the Modern Challenge. And then you're looking at Jund, which, curious to see. This is kind of the old school Jund with Bloodbraid Elf, Tarmogoyf, etc. Nothing too fancy, no Lurises. You had Sultai Control, which was another Wilderness Reclamation variant ad nauseum. Pretty good in the format right now. Goblins. This version is a little bit more in on the combo with a bunch of Disruption, some Dark Confidants, Dark Confidant, and Kiki Jiki. This player's got some stones. But yeah, very interesting take on Gobos, which is another deck we'll have to cover at some point. Gruul Midrange, Electro Balance, which is always interesting, another Eldrazi-tron, Scape Shift, some more Jund, Gruul ad nauseum, some Grixis Death Shadow lists. Overall look at the meta. Azorius Control did well, Blitz did well, Gruul did well, Eldrazi-tron did well, including winning the event. And most disappointingly though, no burn decks to speak of in this event. I'm not terribly surprised. While I'm a huge advocate of the burn deck, Blitz has been doing much better of late in terms of these events. And for whatever reason, burn just hasn't been showing up in any kind of numbers in this current meta game. So, back to the deck tech. Just explaining shortly why we're doing what we're doing. This is 4-color Death Shadow. It's basically a green-black base with a red splash for Temur Battle Rage, a blue splash for Stubborn Denial, and then there are some sideboard cards. Your deck is entirely based around Death Shadow and Tarmogoyf. Some of these versions in the past have run tertiary threats, like Scavenging Ooze or a Plague Engineer in the main deck or whatever, taking advantage of Traverse the Uvenwald. This version is instead opting as their only bullet target to be Luris of the Dream Den. This is a card that obviously had a high pedigree when before the companion mechanic was nerfed, but it's a deck that people have been trying here or there in some grindy decks, be it Jund, be it Burn, be it the black-red Prowess deck still pops up on occasion. So this player choosing to run it in the main deck, we'll get to that when we get to the sideboard in a minute, but nice to have 4 virtual copies of Luris, but only actually running 1. Then you have the staples of Thoughtseize and Street Wraith in a Death Shadow deck. Interestingly, the cantrip of choice in this deck is Cling to Dust. So a lot of people question why is Cling to Dust in this style of deck. Very simply, it's a cantrip that doesn't require you to be focusing on blue mana, and also can randomly hit creatures or just be main deck graveyard hate, in addition to, if you wanted to main deck something like a Nihil Spellbomb. 4 Mishra's Baubles helps you cycle through your draws, especially with a bunch of fetch lands, you can kind of set up your draws a little bit better. Very powerful card, especially with Luris as well. A lot of powerful stuff going on there. Your full disruption package, 3 Inquisition, 4 Thoughtseize, and 3 Stubborn Denial. You have a lot of anti-spell hate here, but no Snapcaster Mages or anything, so a lot of this is one-hit wonder stuff. 1 copy of Abrupt Decay to go with your 4 copies of Fatal Push, and 2 Dismembers to be your removal suite, in addition to all of your hand disruption. And finally, Temur Battle Rage is the reason to play red. This allows you to plow through a bunch of goblins and kill your opponent, or take a turn off your clock against the combo decks. So lots of very simplistic things here. This deck, as I've said, is very much a green-black base. You have 4 Nurturing Peat lands, which is one nice thing. You also get to have your lands be cyclers here. And then be very conscious when you're fetching with this deck. That's something that I'm probably going to struggle with because I'm out of practice with this particular style of deck, is your mana base. 1 Swamp here as kind of your fetch land or basic land of choice. Beyond that, you have 2 blue sources in Watery Grave and Breeding Pool. Your usual land of choice, number 1, is probably going to be Overgrown Tomb, and then 1 copy of Blood Crypt here to be able to cast your Temur Battle Rages. Sideboard, you're playing 4 colors, you have a lot of options. Nihil Spellbomb, quite a nice card in addition to your Cling to Dusts. Also supplements Ashiok the Dream Render as graveyard hate. 2 copies of Damping Sphere, pretty good against Tron decks, pretty good against Amulet decks, especially when you pair it with Ashioks. 2 copies of Kulagon's Command for the grindy matchups. 2 copies of Veil of Summer, because as we saw from that top 8 and top 32 list, there's still a lot of blue decks in the format. Ceremonious Rejection, very good early disruption against Eldrazi Tron especially, also decent against regular Tron. As you might have noticed by the mana curve, you are very vulnerable to Chalice on 1. You have 1 out to it, and that is Abrupt Decay, or playing Tarmogoyf and squeezing your butt cheeks and praying that you can cross the finish line. The 4th copy of Stubborn Denial when you're playing against Control, when you're playing against Combo. 2 copies of Collective Brutality. Your mana base is a bloody mess when it comes to your life total, which it has to be to obviously to enable Death Shadow, but it makes your burn and prowess matchups pretty difficult. Collective Brutality is one of your ways to recoup a little bit of life loss in addition to Luris. And Plague Engineer, don't leave home without it. It's pretty good against goblins. Humans is still popping up here and there, etc., etc. So very interesting deck. I'm hoping that I can do it justice. It's been a minute since I piloted a Jund base version of Death Shadow. So let's get into some matches. So we are back with match number 1. We are up against Daryl Ayers, who is a notable Amulet Titan player at points. So we'll see what he is on. You're on the draw, unfortunately. Could still definitely be Amulet here, so going to bobble myself first. See what I'm working with. Fatal Push. Not particularly interested in Fatal Push right now. I don't know how relevant Stubborn Denial is going to be right now, but let's start with a Thoughtseize. See what's going on over there. It's in fact on Amulet. So, Explore is pretty nice next turn. We don't have an answer to Dryad because we fetched away the Fatal Push. So I think it's just between Explore and Dryad. Yeah, I could take Prime Time, and that would be fine. So do I want to take the Prime Time, or do I want to just keep them from getting to where they're trying to go? I think I just want to keep them from getting where they're trying to go. Again, that could be entirely wrong. I don't know. Shock in the breeding pool here. So I think we play Mishra's Bauble, see what they're drawing. Drawing Ghost Quarter. So yeah, just play Tarmogoyf here. Get pressure on the battlefield as much as possible. Temur Battle Rage is a little awkward with our mana fixing. So that was the other card we didn't know they drew. Dryad into that. Yeah, which means they're going to get to one land away from Titan here. So maybe I was just supposed to grab Titan. So now their hand is Ghost Quarter and Primeval Titan, so if they rip a land, we're in some trouble here. So what could I even traverse for? Don't think there's anything we're going to want to pact for. Not pact, Stubborn Denial this turn. So I think this is just going to be a either traverse for a fetch land or traverse for a let me just traverse for a fetch land here. Shadow, play out the Shadow. Then they draw another untapped source, or I guess. Okay. So they didn't. So can I present lethal here? I believe the answer is yes. Those go to 7/7s. Fetch. Alright, and opponent concedes. Okay. Got a little lucky to win game number 1 against Amulet there. Of course, it also helped that we knew what Daryl tends to be on. So that definitely helps. We're interested in the Ashioks. We're interested in the damping spheres. Probably should look at a recent Amulet Titan list. Figure. So this has kind of been all over the place lately. Don't know if they're on the Karn build or not, so the thing is their deck doesn't have a ton of things that we can counterspell. Other than Pact of Negation, maybe that's good enough. But Stubborn Denial is certainly on the chopping block. Could cut some number of Fatal Pushes. Could cut some number of Abrupt Decays. Don't really want to go down on hand disruption, so it might just be the 3 Stubborn Denial and a Fatal Push, leave the Teamer Battle Rages in. And then beyond that, could bring in Kolagon's Command, but I think Kolagon's Command's a little slow. Could be, once again, could be incorrect to be boarding out yeah, this hand is land light, but very good. Like, in terms of disruption, is pretty nice. Okay, lead on Valakut, sure. Casting Bauble, target ourselves. Inquisition. I'm not particularly interested in Inquisition. However, there's a couple of reasons not to play our fetch land out here. Number one, without blue in our deck, fetching Blood Crypt prematurely can be bad against that Ghost Quarter. But I still think it's a fine maneuver here. Could just get Overgrown Tomb, I suppose. Since there's only... yeah, let's just get Overgrown Tomb. Thoughtseize you. Engineered Explosives, Amulet, and Dryad. So they can't play Dryad next turn. Their hand is really clunky. I think with a double Death Shadow hand, I have to hit the EE here. It's not terrible. Yep. Okay, I don't have anything to play off that this turn. Dryad and a bunch of stuff. Death Shadows are not exactly the most fearsome ones we've ever had. Okay. Drew Azusa. It's very good for them. Turn Basuva to its owner's hand. Okay. I'm missing a point of damage here, which is probably incorrect. So they have the Suva in their hand. Supposed to... What's actually more damage here? So 4, 4, 5, 5. Turnover's still bigger-ish. Field push being really awkward here. That was the card they needed to draw. Yeah, let's just go to the next game. We could potentially power through this, but just the way things are set up is just not happening. Again, that is some consideration for Stubborn Denial. It does limit their outs of stuff that can come off the top, but I guess I'd like to play first. We have Ashiok, but we literally have nothing else going on. I don't think we can keep this hand. This hand has all the disruption, but no lands. This hand's actively pretty terrible, but I think between the 3 draws we'll have a decent chance of hitting a land. So I am going to keep and put back Traverse and Fatal Push here. Like, there's a very good chance we just, like, straight up lose this game. No landers are just terrible. Now we have the opposite problem. Alright. Amulet. Beast Within. Dryad. And a whole bunch of clunky lands. So... Beast Within's whatever. If they blow up our threat, they blow up our threat. I think we take Dryad here and probably plan on blowing up Amulet. Yeah, they get to bog us, which is kind of whatever here. We're not on a Traverse hand, so it's kind of fine. Am I supposed to blow up this amulet? I feel like the answer is yes. They could just pact for Dryad. I think no matter what we do here, we're just pretty dead. Maybe I was supposed to keep that 7-card mess. Thoughtseize blow up their plans quite a bit, I think. Question becomes is, what am I supposed to take here? Tracker's very annoying. Summoner's Pact is very annoying. Beast Within's very annoying. So we're not winning a grindy game regardless with the way our things are set up. The Beast Within are Death Shadow. There's not really much you can do about that. So I think it's either take Tracker or take Pact. I think we'll just take Tracker, force them to do the thing, and if they want to Pact for Azusa or whatchamacallit, they can feel free to do that. This is at least forcing them to respect stuff, even though it's not in our deck. Once again, maybe I was supposed to leave Stubborn Denial in my deck. That's like the one thing I'm not sure of. Okay. They're going to bog us, sure. So it's the third time we've been bogged. Second time. For another threat. We've lost this game now. They're gonna have the time they need to set up to kill us, so. Oh no, they just get to play a Titan here. Alright. Lots of thinking, kind of disappointing that our last game was just a mulligan fest, unfortunately. Like, again, maybe I'm supposed to keep that Ashiok, but between the Beast Within and having Double Teamer Battle Rage in hand, just didn't feel like a hand we could keep. Back for our second match. 4-color Death Shadow. So I'd like to play first. This hand is land, sorcery, artifact. One thing away from triggering Traverse. I think it's good enough. So we're going to fetch Shock either way. Gonna lead on this. Grab Overgrown Tomb to start out with. It's kind of our default setting here. Start by casting Bobble. We're targeting them. Blue to Delta, so it's likely there's some type of blue-based control deck. And Fatal Push, Opt, Jace, and a Partridge and a Pear Tree. So I think we take the Fatal Push. Do we take the Fatal Push or do we take the Opt? I think we take the Fatal Push. Love to draw a threat here. Even a... Okay, Luris, kind of a threat. We have two instants that are basically completely useless to us right now. I guess we can traverse for our swamp, which feels really bad, but it's a thing. It's a thing we can do. Yep, there's the opt. Maybe put a card on bottom. Not fetching here because I want a little bit more information. They drew a counterspell, they drew a counterspell. It's kind of whatever here. Not too worried about TBR right now. Just gonna jam Luris and kind of pray here. The bobble. Sultai confirmed. What are they doing here? Oh, sure. That'd be a fatal push incoming. It would. Delightful. So we will Thoughtseize. We're taking that Jace. Wow. Huh. Well, pick your poison, I suppose. Likely not beating either one of those, so. Hard to win without threats, unfortunately. If it resolves, we're going to have a chance, but if it doesn't, then... Yep. So I'm somewhat familiar with Toast XP. Oh, man. cards are we interested in first and foremost? Interested in the 4th stub. Interested in the Veils. Could be interested in Spellbomb and Ashiok potentially. Cards are not good. Teamer Battle Rage. It's fine, but this is a really grindy matchup. You could even consider bringing in Kolaghan's Command. But I think they're likely to have Ashioks of their own. Don't know how many Coatls they'll be sitting on, so might be able to board out some of that. Might be able to board out some numbers of Dismembers. Just kind of go like that. Like this with some Fatal Pushes and Abrupt Decays to interact with Uros and whatchamacallits, which they might only be on Uro if they are the Wilderness Wreck version that did well this weekend. Okay, sounds pretty decent in terms of disruption, so I think I'm going to keep it. And if we ever happen to hit, they have Remand and Archmage's Charm. Okay, so that would lead me to believe they're more likely to be on alright, we're getting somewhere, Position again. Probably gonna fetch a Water Grave and then just jam Ashiok next turn. Did you draw a counter spell? Alright, kind of thankful I didn't fetch there, actually. Okay. I'm not even sure what to be looking for here. So they have a Misty in their hand. Don't think we activate Ashiok right now until we have a better idea what we want to do. So I think we Ashiok target ourselves. Trying to add more card types to the graveyard here. Okay, so we got the 4 card types. Fatal Push and Engineered Explosives. That's a little rough. Traverse. How big is Goy? 4 or 5. Could also get Luris, maybe? Let's ease away that. Fatal Push. Alright. So I should probably look at the event this past weekend and see if there was a Sultai deck, the rack deck. Did it play Factor of Fiction? It did not play Jace. Our opponent is all over with deck lists. They play... Thought I'd recognize the names somewhere. Last Sultai control list they were on was not running whatchamacallits, Factor Fiction. They are running Quaddles, though. Still think we go with what we got here. That's mulligan to 6. I still think we keep this hand, even though the Fatal Push is effectively a dead card. That's a pretty nice one. Let's grab our Watery Grave here then. Thoughtseize. Remand, Fatal Push, Factor Fiction, Archmage's Charm. Guess we take Remand. Try how this resolves. It does. Okay. 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 Stubborn Denial wasn't actively turned on here, which is unfortunate. Oh, what do we grab here? So our opponent has no known cards in hand, I don't think. Guess we grab Laris. Two lands. Yep. Pass turn, hope it survives. Sure. Okay. Do you have a third copy of Mystic Sanctuary? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Okie dokie. Thoughtseize. Death Shadow. Okay, no third Mystic Sanctuary still. Definitely would have used it if you had it there. I'm sure we're not tweaking out here. Been an insane game so far. And first two rounds we played an insane set of opponents so far, so Okay, put you to 3. Pass turn. Cast nothing. And we win the match. Nice. Oh, that was 2 insane matches so far. On to the next match. Back for match number 3. Interaction. I think this hand's mulligan on 4 lands. This hand's a lot better in terms of disruption. I guess I'm putting back. What am I putting back here? Bobble, I guess. Opponent's mulliganing to 5, so maybe I'm up against drawn or something. I should have kept the bobble as opposed to the fatal push. Bloodstained Mire go. I'm looking to 5, so up against Dredge, perhaps? Cathartic Reunion. Merchant of the Veil. Dredge it is. So have some spell bombs and a. How would you shock here? Oh, you're cycling Forgotten Cove. What's up with the white out of Dredge? Did you find the treasure? Oh, Silver Smooth Golem. Forgotten. So we still know they have Bloodstained Mire and 1 unknown in hand. I'm supposed to get Goyf down here first. Fetch land, please. Dismember, fetch land, abrupt decay. All right. Someone's playing some weird stuff over there. Like, we can't even be 100% sure they're on, like, Shrew Dredge? Ghoul is a 3/1, so we might want Plug Engineer. Battle range is probably fine. Question is, like, what cards do we not want? Probably Shaven Inquisition. Not sure what I'm supposed to be trying to cut here. Sounds okay, not like fantastic. Looking for a land here. Don't really care about shenanigans. Guess we just drop a Goyf here. Alright, that's one way to steal a win from the odd dredge build here. We are back for the 5th match, but 4th match on the video. Unfortunately, I did start a match which I ended up having to concede simply because I misjudged how much time I had, so... Alright, mulligan, no lander. This hand is okay. Probably put back one of the dismembers. Acquisition into stuff. Grab this since we already have a green source. So, Jace. Do we care about Cling to Dust here? I don't think so. I think Thought Scour is much more relevant here. It's some type of control deck, obviously. Looks like we're up actually against Sultai, which is not great, because without a Codal, we don't really expect to have a I think I cast a Traverse here. Cool's fine. Problem is, next turn, if they just jam Jace, we're in a lot of trouble. And there's Jace, Abrupt Decay, 1 unknown. It's going to have Jace here unanswered. Should get to then bounce. Main deck Ashiok. That's pretty annoying. Main deck Ashiok, huh? So we definitely want Stubborn Denial. We definitely want the Veils. We probably want Plague Engineer. We want the Ashioks. TBR can probably go out. I mean, we're kind of racing them, but also not. It does help power through Codals and stuff, but it can be annoying. Try it like this. pretty good, although Loris is our only threat. We'll lead on Bob, we'll target ourselves. Kind of decide what we do with our fetch land and canopy land from there. I'm sure that we're not DCing or anything. Catacombs. Guess I'm fine drawing a third land because of Luris. Fatal Push, Cryptic Command, Ether Gust, Abrupt Decay. So none of the cards in my hand currently care about Ether Gust. Cryptic's annoying. Abrupt Decay and Fatal Push are both annoying. Man, it's going to be a little awkward. So just take Cryptic here. Take their power card, try to punch through it. It's definitely not ideal here. Another Cling to Dust, sure. Tarmogoyf. All right. Sure. Go. Okay. Sure. Go. Some people could argue that we're supposed to attack the Planeswalker here. Sure. Sure. Or mana leak. Okay. Okay. So your last card in hand's an Uro. Put a Fatal Push on top, sure. Alright. These games are insanely close. No, maybe no, no. Maybe I'm supposed to have cool guns coming in the deck. Still leave a couple fatal pushes in. That's pretty good. Obviously we need to find a threat. They avail. There's not much playing around it. They do not. Okay. Earl, Codal, Fatal Push, and Abrupt Decay. Okay. Not the fourth card type. That is in fact the fourth card type. And they drew a land we didn't know about. Okay. Rolling spell. Meant to cast Traverse there. Point noted. And to cast Veil of Summer on our Traverse instead of Veil, but we have to keep soldiering on here.
Sure. A 6 of one, half dozen of the other. This doesn't play around Ether Gust, but does play around Archmage's Charm, stealing it, etc. Fatal Push. Okay. Varaska, Gargari Queen. Okay. Mystic Sanctuary. What a pleasure. What a pleasure to play such a wonderful card. Let's go R for now. Card's what? 4 mana. Yep, putting Abrupt Decay back on top, I presume. Fatal Push. Sure. F5, hold up, cling to dust here. Sure. Sure. Nice. So 3-1 in actual matches played, 3-2 overall only. Be back in a sec with the wrap. So we're back with 4-color Death Shadow here. These decks are always a blast to play. Like, there's a lot of thinking, a lot of how do you approach certain things, like what cards do you take. You know, there's a lot of decision points that are fairly interesting, and I don't know what about it, these style of decks doesn't translate to Jund for me, but I always seem to do better on average with either the 4-color Death Shadow variants or the Grixis Death Shadow counterpart than I do the Jund deck, even though they're executing a lot of the same game plan. But yeah, this deck feels extremely well built. Feels like it had tools for just about every matchup it could want. You know, we took Amulet to 3 games. We beat 2 different control variants, and we also beat some knockoff dredge deck that's trying to, I think, leverage Silver Smoot Ghoul. And the other matchup that I ended up scooping because of things was because of time was Jund, which would have been an interesting matchup, I think. But yeah, this deck feels really well balanced for a Shadow deck. I like the one of Death, the one of Luris in the deck with the traverses. I like the one of Plague Engineer that came up against the Snow deck with Codal being answered immediately. So, I mean, if this deck can go toe-to-toe with the new power of Snow, power level of Snow, I think it's a pretty decent spot in the format. So, definitely a deck we're going to revisit at some point. As a friendly reminder, if you like what you're seeing on the channel, please consider subscribing, giving us a thumbs up, and leaving a constructive comment down below. Especially if you saw any play lines that I might have missed or disagree with a particular play line, please shout that out. Specific play lines, please, because I get a lot of comments of, oh, such and such, or this or that. It's like, that's not really constructive. Be constructive if you're going to criticize. That's all I ask. Anywho, this has been John for MTG Nexus.